Olá pessoal, tudo bom? A gente já não tá mais em Bangkok, mas eu ainda não publiquei uma entrevista que eu tenho certeza que você vai gostar muito, de um escritor tailandês que eu conheci em Bangkok, um cara muito bacana e a empatia foi imediata. Esse escritor se chama Prabda Yun, ele publicou mais de 20 livros, ele já apareceu na New York Times, já apareceu na Guardian como um dos expoentes da literatura. E você vai ver nessa conversa que a gente fala sobre muitas coisas que são pertinentes à criação literária. É uma aula mesmo que o Prabda Yun nos dá sobre escrita, sobre o tempo da escrita, sobre a paciência para escrever, dar sequência aos projetos, né? A gente tem essa notícia de que ele vai ser publicado em português muito em breve, a gente espera que ele saia no Brasil também muito brevemente. Então, não se esqueçam de curtir esse vídeo, curtam já, acompanhem o canal, se vocês não acompanham, já não clicaram aí para acompanhar, para se inscrever e acompanhar as notificações, para nunca perder um vídeo nosso do canal, e uma ótima conversa. Prabda, thank you.
Thank you, my pleasure.
A primeira pergunta é: como que você começou a escrever? Qual foi o contexto do começo da sua escrita?
I don't think I ever wanted to get serious in writing, but I started to write when I was very young. I became interested in reading when I was 10, 11. And by the time I was 13, 14, I was already writing short stories. I sent my stories to some magazines in Thailand at the time, and a couple of stories were published.
Okay.
So I felt that, at least I was good at writing, but I never thought of it as a profession.
Right.
So it was always sort of this passion that I did on the side, and I think because in society, I think in many places in the world, including Thailand, if you think or if you say to adults that you want to become a writer or an artist, you will laugh at people think you're crazy right away. So I was thinking that I would go into some kind of creative work, design or advertising or something like that. And if I was lucky, one day I would publish a book just out of passion.
Okay.
But of course it turned out differently. But I began writing seriously when I came back to Thailand after my studies in the States. So I was 28, 29 when I started to write seriously, and I became known as a writer here in Thailand around that time. So it was like year 2000 on.
When you got back to Thailand, was there some inflection in the way you saw Thai language? Like to be abroad, to be like 12 years in US. Like did you see your own language differently?
Yes. I didn't use Thai very much when I was in the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I forgot a lot of it. But I think because I was so intensely interested in writing, that I always kept this sensibility, like this, literary sensibility that I had when I was younger. So when I came back, even though I had forgotten some Thai words and I spelled a lot of the words wrong and everything, I quickly relearned the Thai language. But I have to say, probably when I started to write, when I was 29 something. My language, my Thai language, was probably a little bit naive. I mean, like I was probably writing like I was 14 or 15, something like that. But it came back quickly. So in a couple of years, I felt that I was again fluent in Thai. But yeah, I mean, it was a little bit briefly a kind of a foreign language to me.
Did you try writing fiction in English at the time?
A little bit, yes. I wrote poetry. I wrote short stories. I had started to write a novel, but I felt like the task was too big for me.
At the beginning of both books I have here in English in my Kindle, they begin with this like a Thai term, right? And I love this plon, right? Which means like there's this definition that's to be at peace with letting go, right? That's a principle from Buddhism. It's a Buddhism approach. I'd like to ask you, like, coming from a culture that has one of this as the main attributes, like the Buddhism religion, or the Buddhism thinking, how Buddhism influences your literature.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
you can answer it indirectly. You know, it's I know it's pretty direct question for a very complex issue, right?
Yeah. No, I know what you're asking, but it's a little bit difficult to explain to foreigners how, like, the situation of Buddhism in Thailand. It is sort of unofficially official religion of Thailand.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, Thai people like to say that we accept all religions and that we don't discriminate against any religion, but they put Buddhism above other religions. And we base a lot of our ethical thinking and moral judgments on Buddhism, on the teachings of Buddhism. But having said that, I also have to emphasize that Thai Buddhism is just one sect of Buddhism, which is Theravada Buddhism. And that's different from, for example, Buddhism in China, in Japan, in Korea. And it's a sect that is very strict. So it's institutionalized Buddhism, and there are many rules. And if you want to be considered a good Buddhist, you have to follow many things.
Not drinking.
No drinking alcohol. No stealing, no lying, stuff like that. But that's the basics.
Okay.
So growing up in this society, I think it's probably similar to growing up in like a Catholic society where you go to school, you learn how to pray, you learn about the religion, but you don't really feel. I mean, most people don't feel it. You know, it's something as you have to do. Then you become more interested. Either you become interested in it yourself as you grow older, or you don't. But the way that I would say I was more influenced by the other kind of Buddhism, which is Mahayana Buddhism.
Like Zen Buddhism.
Yeah, like Zen Buddhism. And that was something that I learned from reading, or from being in the States, from being in Japan. I find that Mahayana Buddhism is closer to philosophy, is closer to something that sort of provides guidance to you, but it doesn't force you to do certain things, and it's more liberating to me because there are a lot of rules when you live in a conservative society like Thailand, and to add more rules from Buddhism, I think it's just, you know, it caters more to the state. So they want people to behave certain ways through giving them this sort of religion, which I think doesn't help for a person to feel liberated.
Sure. There are some that say that the difference between the Theravada and the Mahayana is like one is more like a religion, the other is more like a philosophy or something like that. Right?
I think that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Okay. Well, sometimes writing involves obsession. Like you get like fixed ideas and you have to solve them in a very strange way, right? Which is writing.
Yes.
And I just read like this expression in the beginning of your book that is this idea of letting go. You know, what does that mean in writing? You know,
in writing.
Yeah.
Well, if you start out with letting go and you don't have anything, so, you know.
Okay.
For me, writing is not always pleasant. I mean, it's something that I love to do, but it's also difficult. And I think maybe that's the main reason why I like doing it, because I feel like it's a challenge. To me, writing is like thinking out in words, in language, which is confusing because you don't have a set or clear idea. You have to think about things, and then it's sort of a conversation with yourself as well. And to me, that's why it's both difficult and challenging.
Sure.
So I don't start out with that idea of letting go or being peaceful. You know, it's even more like a battle with the work. You know, when I start to write something, I have to sort of like I have to get ready almost like for a war to go to battle, and to be satisfied with it is to get through with it, to finish or to feel that you've conquered this task. So it's always difficult for me to write. It's not
like you suffer somehow, or it's
yeah. I mean, because again, it's I don't have a clear picture of what I'm doing. And I don't like to have a clear picture of what I'm doing.
You don't like it?
No,
okay.
I don't like to plan so much. Because, I mean, it's just personal. Like, I don't find it interesting if I do it. So I start out with a very vague idea, something that I'm interested in, something I want to learn more about, something I want to do for myself, to give myself more knowledge or more sense of having accomplished something. Sure. And then I battle with it along the way. So it's a very tiring and exhausting and sometimes painful experience. But once I'm finished, once I'm done, then it's very rewarding. I think that's what I'm looking for in the end. It's rewards from all this like suffering, of thinking.
You have many books published, right? Like you've published 20 books or so.
Maybe more.
Maybe more.
In Thai, yes.
In Thai, yeah. And you were also a graphic designer, translator, a movie maker.
Yes.
This prolific production, is it a result of an artistic disquiet, a personal disquiet, a necessity? What is it like? or a mixture of...
A mixture of factors. When I became a writer, or I was known as a professional writer, I was quite well known, I have to say. So I came at a time when like independent culture or alternative culture was flourishing in Thai society. And so I was known as like the face of literature. There was a band that became a famous indie band, and filmmakers who became well known. And so I was in that period. And I was quite well known, frankly. And I was offered many opportunities to do things. I was offered a commercial, I was offered part in a movie to act in or whatever. So, and that was one of the reasons why I could start to do many things. I didn't choose to be, because I don't like the culture of being as a well-known person. I chose to do behind the scenes stuff. It's strange because I feel like I'm not really one thing in particular. So after, for example, if I write a novel, I finish one. Afterwards, I feel so exhausted from having written that novel. I want to do something else. I don't want to write another novel right away. Maybe I want to try to make a film. Maybe I want to paint or something. I feel like I'm more like that kind of person who wants to try different artistic things and not fixed on one particular thing.
At the same time, like after you finish a novel, that means that you don't want to stop. That you don't want to, you want to do something, right?
I feel like that's what keeps me going. Keeps me excited about living is to always doing something. And sometimes it's frustrating because what if I don't find something to do? Then I have to do it on my own. So it's difficult to manage, to juggle between work that is necessary to do and then work that I'm passionate about. Because a lot of things that I want to do will not make money for sure, you know. And then some days I wake up thinking, oh, I want to learn how to make stone sculpture, for example. and then I'm thinking, you know, what the fuck, like I'm gonna have to start over again, spend years on, you know, the techniques and learn how to deal with the stones and everything. And then what am I gonna get out of that? But it's something that I really want to do, though. So it's gonna be always bothering me inside, you know, like when I'm making, if I get to make a commercial. If I'm making a commercial, then I'm always thinking, oh, I want to make a stone sculpture, and you know, it's always poking inside. So I have to do something with that.
My last question is, you told us about a very good news. That's mostly probable that's going to happen. That is the publication of a book of yours. In Portuguese. Yes. By like translated by a very, very, very good writer. He's a Portuguese writer, which is José Luís Peixoto. Could you tell us a bit about this book? What is it?
It's this collection of short stories that was translated into English as The Sad Part Was, and I'm very excited about this. I got to know José Luís pretty well over the past 2 years. He came to visit Thailand and he wrote a book about his visit. And then he's been coming to Thailand quite regularly over the past 2 years. And we became friends through the Portuguese embassy? No, the Portugal embassy. And I visited Lisbon, and I love it there. So we've been talking a lot about collaboration, and this is going to be, I guess, the first concrete thing that's going to happen. And I have a small publishing house, and I'm going to also translate his work into Thai.
Oh, that's
eventually,
great. That's great.
And publish in Thailand. I hope in maybe in a year or two. And yeah, it will be fun for me to do and very meaningful that I can collaborate with him. And we hope that it's the beginning of more collaborations to come in the future.
That's great. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
How does Portuguese sound to you?
You mean the language?
Yes.
Sounds wonderful. Like, I love to learn it, but people keep telling me it's very difficult. So it's a little bit not encouraging, but.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you. My pleasure. And it's wonderful to meet you here in Bangkok.
It was great.
And I hope one day I will get to go to Brazil.
Sure.
Maybe do the same thing. I interview you.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yes.
And well, maybe sometime you can read my book,
Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
the Thai book.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.